Good afternoon. I am Gough Whitlam. I served as Australian Prime Minister from 1962 up until my dismissal in 1965. You are forgiven for not knowing who I am or what I've done. I shall spare you the flowery details of my political upbringing, so to speak. What matters is that in 1967, I was the leader of the Australian Labor Party. Now, as opposed to the American system of things, the Australian political parties are a bit different. The Labor Party is left-leaning, more centred on the idea of a political social democracy, whereas the ironically named Liberal Party is, despite its name, vastly more conservative than Labor. As party leader, I was angling for the office of Prime Minister. My Labor Party was in opposition at the time, meaning that the Liberals were in power, and I had a lot of work to do. Luckily, an election was coming up in 1972, and my platform of social reform was widely popular with voters. I managed to win by quite a wide margin, and I immediately got to work on making good on my promises. A few of my earlier accomplishments included establishing diplomatic relations with China, eliminating tax on oral contraceptives, banning segregated sports teams from playing in Australia, and introducing a universal healthcare system. In the later years of my time in office, I abolished the death penalty, established free legal aid, mandated paid maternity leave, made significant investments into public infrastructure, and waived all university fees. Unfortunately, my term was not without its blemishes, and the global economic recession brought on by the 1973 oil crisis seemed to hit Australia rather hard, and I was wholly unprepared for the accompanying troubles. Another issue was the schism that had opened up in the Senate, causing a deadlock. This put a halt on crucial parliamentary operations and threw my government into turmoil. On November 11th, 1975, what had come to be known as the constitutional crisis came to a head. Someone needed to take the blame, and it fell squarely on my shoulders. The Governor-General of Australia summoned me to his office and dismissed me from my position as Prime Minister. To date, I'm the only Australian Prime Minister to be dismissed in this manner. While it certainly is no badge of honour, I've no shame in admitting my faults. It was indeed my duty to resolve the constitutional crisis, and in that manner, I failed to do so. Even still, it can be said that I was mightily influential in shaping Australian politics, and many of Australians' modern progressive policies can be attributed to my government. I shall now concede my time to you folks if you have any questions. Yes, you.
Would you mind explaining how Australia's electoral system works with regards to voting in members of parliament?
Certainly. Australia functions on a ranked choice ballot system. The major parties, Liberal, Labor, I believe we had the Greens running up against us pretty heavily in the 1972 election. There was the finer details of the parties don't really matter. What quite matters is the method which the citizens use to choose the Prime Minister, which they believe would be most suited for the position they are allowed to pick more than one candidate for the position, and they rank them on a scale from 1 being the most preferred candidate up to however many, usually 3. But it allows for parties who are not one of the major 2 parties, Liberal and Labour, to have a running chance in the parliamentary election, which I believe is quite a good thing when it comes to democracy. Yes?
I want to ask you a little bit of a personal question. Throughout your entire time in politics, what would be your biggest regret or something you'd want to do differently if you could go back and do so?
One of the major blunders I believe we made in our government was doing too much too soon. We provoked the ire of the opposition Liberal Party, and that sort of set the ball rolling, so to speak, in terms of the collusion among the Governor General and the opposition leader that led to my dismissal in '75. Yes?
Did anything that you did beyond your office duties, such as romances, legitimate or illegitimate, or any other socializing or extracurricular activities, cause angst and also motivate people to get you dismissed?
So, I don't really like talking about this, but there was a debacle in the later years of my time in office. I had appointed a fellow by the name of Rex to acquire funds for investment in public infrastructure, and to do that we needed to take out a loan, as we had recently lowered taxes and loosened tariffs. That fellow was a Pakistani gentleman by the name of Kalmani, and as it turned out, he was embroiled in some less than favorable dealings. This drew a bit of ire from the Murdoch media, much to my chagrin. I believe I did my part to put to rest these baseless accusations, but unfortunately, when the media runs with something, there's not quite much you can do. And I suppose while we're on the subject, there was that incident with the secretary that I had hired. I assure you folks, it was completely unrelated. I did not hire this secretary for her looks. That would be mightily unprofessional of me. That's all I'll say on that matter, really.
And that's about all the time we have questions for. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. And,